Hold on. I'm actually gonna watch a YouTube video on what I need to do because I don't actually know what I need to do. I need for UCAT. UCAT, same thing. You know what? Actually, I'll watch this YouTube video because that's obviously the best thing I can do with my time. He looks. I'm not gonna comment. The thing is, yeah, I need actual So I'm just gonna prepare what I need now. Mind the fact I have my glasses on. I'm so anxious, bro. And a game plan. Like, okay, buddy. Valid ID. You know what? I've lost my driving license. Huh, I'm gonna turn the camera off because I'm getting out my bank cards. Trading 212, my credit card. Sainsbury's discount card, my student ID. Bro. Oh, it's in my phone case. I was worried, bro. I was worried. Okay. So if it's in my phone case, I'm not too fussed by it then. Okay. Yeah. Okay. If it's my phone case. Yeah. Okay. It's in my phone case. Okay. So I got my valid ID. Yeah, that's just gonna be on my email, isn't it? Well, how am I gonna bring the test boat and bringing it to me? Hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna go on Safari, and I'm gonna bring it onto this screen because I don't want to show you guys my my email because I have some shit in there. I can't lie. Lockdown today. UCAT. Let's just do UCAT. UCAT exam reminder. 24th September today. Okay, actually, we're gonna get up Google Maps. Mr. Dante DeShane, oh my Collins Hart, flipping out, bruv. Calendar ID registration. Include your signature. I don't know if my driving license has my signature. Bro, I know some people have such giant signatures. Mine is literally, it's literally a heart and a letter, and they're on top of each other. So I'm reading. Accepted government ID, passport, driving license, country of issue. Okay, yeah, so that will work. The staff will take a digital photo of me. Okay, bit odd. You will be asked to read the UCAT test rules so you understand them. Okay, it's on Milton Road. And then let's get satellite on. Okay, actually, let me. Why is Milton Road shown as an alleyway, bro? Let me get 30 to 33 Milton Road. Okay, so that's the test center. This kind of behavior is unacceptable. Like, obviously, right, someone shouldn't be like that, but saying someone else's behavior is unacceptable, man. Grow up. That's all I gotta say. I may drive early because it's quite close to. Okay, so if I have that place bookmarked, yeah, okay. Directions from here. Okay, it's a 12-minute walk. Where does Mohammed live? What if I drop it from this one? Okay, so 40-minute walk. It doesn't actually increase it by much. Where does Mohammed live? I know this is like a breach of thingamabobs. There's like an old town. In Old Town, there's a mini roundabout. There's a gas station. I believe it's Shao. So we won't do it from Mohammed's house. We'll do it from the Shao. Okay. It's not a Shao then. Okay, let me see the KFC. I'll know it from KFC. Oh, of course you put KFC. Shut up, dickhead. I don't know his house from that KFC. KFC. It's not Cricklade Road. It's not Great Western Kemble Drive. No, it could be actually. If it's not. It's near McDonald's. Actually, hold on. It'll be near Sainsbury's on Paddington Drive. Because on the opposite side you have the KFC. And you go down here and you go up here. Texaco, that's what I was thinking. And then he lives on here. He lives here. Valley Side. Motherfucker said a 10-minute walk, bro. It's fucking 8:20. Do I want to do that? Because I'm thinking, yeah, some of these houses are probably gonna be like, they may be residence parking, but I doubt they're gonna be like that. Because the thing is, yeah, I finished the thing at 12. If I do walk back, I'm gonna have to let my car warm up and shit. Let's just see how much parking is. My mum, who's petrified of multi-story car park. Who's what? Okay. Because I don't want to. £3.40. That's 1 to 2 hours. I'm gonna be there longer than that. So let me check. Yeah, I would rather just park somewhere else and just walk. I would rather just park on one of these residential streets. Bristol St. Parking. Yeah, man, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I think I'll just park at Mohammed's thing. Wear a jumper. Yeah, I'm gonna walk at Mohammed's thing. So I've got to leave early because I've got to walk. I've got to be there early. Yeah, okay.
If you're struggling in the situation...
Okay, here's the plan, yeah. So I'm gonna get there early. I'll put the video camera back. Ah! Oh, because I've been ripping my hair. Okay, so I'm gonna get there early, right? I'm gonna get there early. We'll get to Mohammed's house early. We're gonna walk. I'm gonna wear a nice comfy jumper. I was gonna wear my Stony because it's so comfy. It's so soft. But I'm gonna be wiping with my arm, not a rubber. So I'm gonna wear my North Face one just because that one's a bit more ripped than that, and it's black. Nice and toasty. Directions. I'm gonna breathe. I'm not gonna take my MacBook. I'm gonna leave my school stuff in my car actually. I'm not gonna take my MacBook because it doesn't even have the keyboard in that. So it's pretty much useless.
Judgment subtest, and you always seem to be 1 or 2 questions off from the correct answer. This is the video for you because I'll be showing you the ethical skills that you need to get into medical school. My name's Emil and I scored in the 99th percentile on UCAT.
no offense to this guy, right? He just said 1 or 2 away. If someone's always 2 away from the right thing, then you shouldn't be a doctor, because that means you're just wrong.
In 2020, and this video is the 5th video in my UCAT crash course sponsored by MedEntry. In this video, I'll give you an overview of the subtest, share my general strategy, my tips and tricks, and finally go through some questions live on camera. The first thing you need to know about the situational judgment subtest is that it is marked separately from all of the other subtests in the UCAT. The other subtests are added up to create your cognitive score, which is what people usually say is their general score in the UCAT, and it's what you get a percentile number from. On the other hand, the situational judgment subtest is usually treated separately, and you can either get a banding from 1 to 4, which indicates what quartile of the cohort you're in, or you can just get a number out of 900. Different universities tend to treat the situational judgment subtest.
This is what I'll never get. This guy's literally telling you how to like revise it, and people will always be in the comments, how did you revise it?
Test differently. So some universities won't use it at all and will only use the first 4 subtests, your cognitive score. Other universities will have a minimum requirement for your situational judgment score, for example 90th percentile, and then other universities will include your situational judgment score with your cognitive score and create some sort of ranking based on that. At the end of the day, this means that the situational judgment subtest is actually important because you could have the same cognitive score as someone else, and it might end up being a situational judgment score that helps you get a higher rank than that person. In this subtest, you have 69 questions to answer in 26 minutes, but usually the questions come in sets of 3 or 4 based on a passage that contains some sort of ethical scenario for you to consider. Personally, I don't think time is a huge issue in this subtest, and the questions can come in forms of appropriateness questions, importance questions, or drag and drop questions of either type. The other thing to know about this subtest is that partial marks are given. What this means is if you choose the correct side, for example, appropriate or inappropriate, but you don't get the exact answer, you can still get a half mark for the question. This is because there's often a lot of room for debate in ethical scenarios, and as a result, the markers are fairly generous. Overall, this subtest tests your ability to have good ethical considerations and also how well you can prioritize issues in a scenario. So now moving on to my general strategy for the subtest, the first thing that I do is usually read the stimulus very carefully to understand the key issues. For example, a pretty common issue that can come up in scenarios are a breach of patient confidentiality, where an important document containing patient information is lost or stolen. In this case, I try to identify what the separate issues are in this scenario. The first might be that the patient's confidentiality has been breached, and then secondly, it might be that there was a situation in which the patient confidentiality could have been breached in the first place. In general, it's quite nice to ask yourself what has gone wrong in the situation, but then also follow that up with how has that gone wrong and why has that gone wrong. After you identify the issues, try to order those issues in terms of importance. Continuing from the example of patient confidentiality before, in general, the patient almost always comes first in these situations. In most situations, patient safety is going to be the most important thing, but after that, it's up to you to determine what things are relevant and important to the situation. The next thing that I like to do is think about the best and worst case scenario that could occur. I find this helpful in appropriateness questions in particular, because often there can be actions that might be alright, but there might be a way better action that therefore can color the way you see the action that's given in the question. Thinking about the best and worst case scenarios can then therefore give you a more nuanced understanding of the question and help you get the right answer. The next thing that I do is I try to evaluate how likely I think certain probabilities are to occur and how likely things are to be important. This is almost the final step, but using this is when I then go on to picking a side first. Usually what I like to do is eliminate options, so what I'll do is I'll pick a side whether I think it's appropriate or not appropriate, or important or not important in general. Then I know that my answer options are going to be between A and B, or between C and D, and then it becomes a lot easier for me to choose whether something is good or not. After this, it's a matter of building up your ethical compass over time and figuring out what you think the right answer is going to be. So moving on to my tips for the subtest, the first piece of advice I have is to learn the basic principles of medical ethics. There are generally 5 main things here: autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, justice, and confidentiality that are important to understand in almost all situations that involve patients. What I recommend is searching these terms up in your own time to understand what they mean and how they actually influence how you would answer certain scenarios.
Actually, I need to search up what is a bereavement. Okay.
Having a strong grasp of these terms is really good for this subtest because it gives you a nice ethical framework to work from when you're answering these questions. The second tip I have is to understand mitigating factors. Mitigating factors are essentially factors that can make a situation less good or bad. For example, an appropriateness question might give you an action that's really bad, but then there's one slight positive of that action, and that would be a mitigating factor that would make the answer C but not D. When you're answering questions, it's nice to think about these factors and how they might influence the answer, because often that's the reason why an answer is not A and D, because of a mitigating factor. My third tip is to familiarize yourself with the common scenarios that come up in the subtest. These are often things like maintaining trust, maintaining confidentiality, being a good medical student, knowing your role, maintaining trust, and teamwork. After you familiarize yourself with this, I would make a list of scenarios that you see very commonly, and what I would do is I would compare different passages and different questions to see what was similar and different about them so that you can better understand nuance between questions. Read through the explanations that are given for these questions on sites like MedEntry and try to understand the logic that leads to the ethical considerations in a scenario. Finally, one of the best things you can do is thoughtful practice on scenarios, focusing on those areas of weakness that you have, and also focusing on having a system for answering these questions and using that every time. Before I move on to answering some questions myself, I'd like to thank MedEntry for sponsoring this series. MedEntry is a UCAT preparation platform that I used when I was preparing for my UCAT, and I find that they have questions that are most similar to the actual test. They've just launched their new LMS platform, which has an interactive up on the screen here, and the first question type that we'll go over are these appropriateness questions. So the first thing
Inappropriate but not awful.
that I'll do is I will read through the scenario and try to understand what the issues are in the situation. So we see Dr. Bennett, a junior doctor, is being shadowed by 2 medical students. As the doctor tells the students and could safety and teach them of inappropriate side. Although it addresses whether the idea of the medical students laughing while watching Brett, it is important to consider the second issue, which is Brett and Brett's feelings. I think the issue that could occur is that Brett might feel really uncomfortable if the doctor was to reprimand the medical students in his presence, and as a result, I think this would probably be inappropriate. The reason why I don't think it's very inappropriate is because it does actually address the issue of the medical students laughing while watching the patient. So here with the second question about whether it's appropriate for Dr. Bennett to closely observe medical students to see if they demonstrate unprofessional behavior in the future. Immediately, I'm thinking that this is again on the C or D side because it doesn't do anything to address the immediate situation. Here, there might be a mitigating factor, which is that this is actually something that is good, but I think here, doing a weigh up of what's important in the situation, I think it's really important that the medical students are reprimanded for this because they have done something that is clearly very, very unprofessional. But I think because there is a mitigating factor, again, it's probably likely to be C. So here with the third question, do not take any action as Brett does not appear to have noticed the medical student's behavior. Immediately, I'm thinking that this is D. Just because the patient doesn't notice that the students are being unprofessional doesn't mean there's nothing wrong with the unprofessionalism. The doctor should 100% do something about it. Now, this question after Brett has left informs students that their behavior has no place in the medical field. I think immediately This is probably A, because there's no real drawback to him doing this. Firstly, it's after the patient has left, so the patient won't feel uncomfortable about the situation. Then it also immediately addresses the issue of the student's unprofessional behaviour and tells them that it's not appropriate. So with the next question, report the medical student's behaviour to the academic supervisor. I think this one is pretty tricky because it is taking some action to reprimand the students and inform them that their behaviour is wrong. However, it doesn't do much in the immediate circumstance, and it also might be too strong of a punishment for whatever just happened. So I think because it addresses the student's behaviour, I think it's on the side of A or B. But then because there's a mitigating factor of the fact that it might be too strong or it might not be immediate feedback to the students and informing them of what they've done wrong, I think the answer is probably B. So let's just submit our answers and see how we went on these questions. So as you can see, we've gotten almost all of those questions right. If we have a look at why I got the second question wrong, we'll see that the answer was actually D. It was a very inappropriate thing to do. If we have a look at why the answer to this question was D, we'll see that the answer that they've given is because he's not taking any immediate action in a situation where their behaviour is disrespectful and inappropriate. So it's nice to understand. Okay, so now we'll look at the second question type.
Minor important.
In a situational judgment subtest, which are these importance questions. So reading this scenario, we see Vincent, a student who's required to attend weekly tutorials relating to professionalism and self-care. The tutorials are on a Friday afternoon, and he feels like they're not particularly useful. He has a friend's wedding the coming weekend, which is taking place in a regional town, and he hopes to leave early on Friday afternoon to attend a pre-wedding social event. The wedding takes place on Saturday afternoon, and he's deciding whether to leave early on Friday, which would result in him missing the tutorial. Autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, justice, and confidentiality that are importantly one of the professional and could be considered, which is that this is actually something that is good, informing them of what they've done wrong. I think the answer is probably B. So let's just submit our Vincent is struggling to balance his social life and his academic life. So usually in these scenarios, it's very important to understand that a student's main priority should be their studies, and as a result, they shouldn't be compromising their studies and learning for social events. The other issue we see is that Vincent hasn't really thought about telling the tutor anything about this or doing anything to inform the university that he might miss it. So when we look at the first question, that if Vincent were to attend the tutorial, he would miss the pre-wedding social event, because it's so much more important for students to follow their academic studies, I think this is definitely on the side of not important. Because though I think that he would miss his pre-wedding event, and that might be slightly important to him, this might be C. I think it's pretty hard to tell whether it's C or D, but I think because he's making such a big breach of what he's supposed to do as part of his learning, I think it's most likely going to be D, because it's not that important that he misses the pre-wedding event, especially if the wedding is actually taking place on a Saturday afternoon. So second question.
Not of important.
That he feels the tutorial is not useful to his learning. This, I think, immediately is probably going to be D. It doesn't actually matter that Vincent thinks that the tutorial is not useful to his learning. If the medical school has put that in place and they put it in place as part of their curriculum, it definitely probably is important, even if Vincent doesn't actually realize it. So because of that, I'm thinking that the answer is going to be D. With the next question, that Vincent is required to attend a minimum of 80% of the tutorials to pass the year, I think this is going to be on the important side because it's important for Vincent to consider his academic studies as a student, and it's important for him to meet all the criteria required for him to pass. So I don't think there's any reason as why this would not be very important for him to consider. So here we've got another scenario. Dr. Chen is a junior doctor working in general practice, seeing an elderly plate patient for a rash who lives
Very important.
in a nursing home. After examining, he diagnosed scabies, which is a contagious infection. He provides the nursing staff, the resident, with instructions on how to treat the infection. He reviews the following week and finds it to be no better. Then when he investigates, he realizes the treatment regime was not followed correctly. So here the issue is that the rash is contagious, the patient might be unwell, and because the rash is contagious, it might have spread to other people in the nursing home. So here we see, the question is that the rash is contagious, so this is definitely going to be A, very important. There's no reason why you wouldn't worry about this in this situation. Second question, the reason as to why the instructions were not followed. Again, this is definitely very important because it's important for the doctor to understand what might be wrong with the treatment regime or why there was an issue with following it in the first place. So we'll have a look at the answers to these questions and see how we did. So as you can see, we got all of those questions right, which is great to see. Hopefully you have a better idea of
I'm just gonna look at this because I have nothing else to do. I have a lot of other things to do, but I'm just curious.
So if you feel like you've got trauma from looking at stupid shapes in abstract reasoning puzzles, and if you feel like you can look at a pattern for hours and still not get it, this is the video for you because I scored an 870 in the AR subtest on the UCAT, and I'll show you exactly.
Okay, anyway. We've already done this. Got my things don't work. I'm actually gonna practice Medify before I go into the thing. I'm gonna do a question bank just to practice the skipping and review. And now we got a decision making test to do. Or did I just moan? Okay. Okay. Decision making. Okay. Oh shoot. All countries provide visa to the passport holder. Passport holders get a visa. of country X. Country B provides visas. Country B provides visas to the passport holders of only 2 countries. Country A provides visas to the passport holders of country B. All different passport holders receive countries in B. No, I know what diplomatic means. Bro, I read the flipping question wrong. That was a very hard one. But actually, at the committee, there was one solution to propose an investigation into a matter. Any solution that the committee proposed would have to be cleared Okay, any omelette that Simon makes is either salted or unsalted and is made of either hen eggs or duck eggs. None of the salted omelettes contain cheese. Only cheese omelettes Simon makes cheese omelettes with duck eggs. No. If an omelette is unsalted, it cannot be a cheese omelette. No. Simon makes mushrooms omelettes with hen eggs. No. Yes, because all cheese omelettes have hen eggs. Oh my lord, I could have just done shit on that. Our failure performance consisted. There were more singers who can act than dancers who could sing, but no actors could sing. My pen's running out as well. Actors, dancers, and singers. shit. Bro, why is there so many logic puzzles? assess some aspects of their own personality. No, they're told their personality type, not to assess them. It wasn't the ability, it was more of the willingness to. It says it breaks it down. Actually, no, it says it works on it. Oh, I got that right anyway. Wait, no, 23, 15. I've done something wrong. Oh, it's 40, that's why. 16, 26, 33, 7, 15, 25. Come on. I'm not gay. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Ah, shit, I forgot to... Queen. So you can't have two evens. Yeah, Paul's a fucking idiot. Bro, my pen's actually just completely gone. The chance I use a machine will break down. No. Okay, I want to quickly grab a pen. I've never actually gone. Why do I use those stupid pens Amazon gave me, bro? I've got these work ones that are like industrial grade shit, bro. Okay, we're gonna skip all of the logic puzzles still. Oh shoot, we've actually nearly answered every question then. Based on that, which of the following statements about the houses in this trip is correct? There were no non-seasided that were balconied, colourful, and spacious. That's not true. There were no spacious seaside houses that were no. There was at least one colourful seaside house that was balconied, there was at least one balconied, non-seaside house that was neither colourful okay, I've gotten one wrong. There was at least one colourful square oval that was not spacious. Oh, that was neither colourful or spacious. So square oval, yeah. Okay, we're gonna unflag that review screen. 27. Okay, based on which of my statements is true? Second highest product credit. Okay, you got it. None of the people who bought both books and vitamin supplements were older than 25. No. The number of people who bought cosmetics and fragrances but did not buy vitamin supplements, 73, is greater than the number of people who bought books but were older than 25. That's like 70, 80. Okay, B and D are wrong. Cosmetic and fragrances is 93, 96. Okay. Triangle's clearly the highest. 70, 80, 87. Yeah. So now we're gonna unflag that. Go to review screen. 28. Based on the amateur and the following statements are true. The number of dogs with a loud bark. Rectangle. There's not a fucking rectangle. I'm guessing it's this thing. But that's the square. And short fur. Circle. Rectangle, circle. 6 is equal number of dogs with a loud bark. Rectangle. And spotted fur. Well, the thing is, it's technically equal to 6, but then there's also that, so that's wrong. C is wrong. C is actually, I'll put a question mark. The number of dogs with short fur, circle, without spots, $54. Wait, what? it's 3 times number of dogs with short and spotted fur. $18. Let me get the calculator. 18 times 3 is 54. Okay, it's that one. So now we're just gonna unflag that. We're gonna go to a review screen. Oh shoot, we can actually go back to the logic puzzles then. Based on the diagram, which of the following statements is true? There are 6 more models that have MP3, circle, 14, 21, 25, 32. The number of models that have preloaded maps, square. That's just completely wrong. An equal number of models have voice commands and MP3. 7. As have voice commands and Bluetooth. There's not even a correlation there, so it can't even be that. Exactly half the models that have MP3 players have more than one additional feature. 7, 14. No, it's already above it, so it must be D. And now we're gonna flag that, and then we're gonna go to the review screen. I'm gonna unflag that. Mud puppies are creatures that live in water. Okay. Some mud puppies are brown. The others are grey. So it can't be A. There needs to be a separation. Brown mud puppies live in murky water, and the other mud puppies okay. So they live in water. Okay. So they all live in water, right? This is brown, this is grey. Yeah, this is probably like dirty water. No, because there needs to be some overlap, because some of the others also live in dirty water. So there needs to be some overlap, but not complete overlap. Yeah, we'll just keep that flagged, because I don't really know what to do about that one. Let me actually go to the logic puzzles. I'm actually kind of happy I can do that. Cora is shorter than Angie. So it goes Cora, Angie. Emma is shorter than Belly. D is taller than Belly, but shorter than Cora. Okay, so D, B, E. Bella is shorter than Cora and Angie. Oh, this is pretty easy. Okay, Emma is the shortest. Angie is the tallest. Unflag. Next question. I'm skipping this. Okay, I just know Howard's gonna be in it because he did shite. Howard's gonna get rejected. There's only 2 there. North, there's only 2 there. So it's just Howard there. Nisha is already there. Pretty is already there. And then Antonio. Unflag, skip. Which shape will make the last equation true? Okay. Triangle is equal to 3 squares. So 2 circles is equal to 9 triangles. Wait, no, I don't even flipping know, bruv. I actually have no clue. I have no clue. We're gonna mark that, see how I did. Next, invigilator. Last question. Next. And review. Yes, and review. Next. Navigator. Yeah. Next. And review. I got 20. Okay, I think that's actually really bad. UCAS school converter. 20, 640. Okay. Yeah. And consider flipping how 4 syllogisms wrong. What can you do? Okay. Yeah, again, it would have been partial marks, but okay, hold on. Let me see. How should have I drawn this? All countries provide. Okay, visa if you're from X. Country B. Oh, so vice versa, man. Okay. It doesn't matter. We're not going to do school convert. It'll just be higher. It'll just be higher. Inshallah, inshallah, as Muhammad says. Okay, that just sounds racist, but my friend Muhammad does say that. And it means God wills something, I believe. Okay, I'm gonna message Hashir. gonna give my mum a hug. But I'm getting a bit worried for my exam, Mum. No, because I just did a mock test and I only got like 650, but I did make silly mistakes. But I think it's better that I've identified these silly mistakes early on in the day so I know what to do on the thing. Hasn't even occurred to me to have like a shower and bath and that. I'm thinking I might just call up looking homeless so they give me an easier test so they feel bad. But yeah. Yeah, again, I think there's only two ones which are skill based, and the other one I've kind of just accepted my fate. So I'm just going to do those two today. And yeah, see how it goes really. Bro, I'm blocked Pinterest on Gmail. Why do they keep emailing me? See, I didn't actually read that it said the same number. It's going on YouTube. No, I wasn't. And this one was right. Okay. Okay, so I got this full marks. Next, I got this full marks. Okay, decision making. I got two full marks. I got three partially correct. Review screen, decision making, six, 7. Didn't attempt this one. I did this one. This was right, right? Yeah, that was right. I didn't attempt to. Actually, I should probably explain. Where do you deduce that, bro? Hold on, wait. If I actually just give them random numbers, does that actually work hypothetically? So if I say the square is 3 and triangle is 9, if I say square is 3, triangle is 9, I can say 18, take away 3, 15, circle equals 15. Then I can say rectangle equals 18. Then I can say 27 equals 30 plus 3, which is equal to square. Oh my god! I did not realize I could just assign them random numbers like that. Bro, that makes shit so much easier, bro. Yeah, I wasn't doing that, bro. I don't care. I wasn't doing that, but did I get it right? No. A lot of them seem to be C. D. Because of the technology. D. Because it mentions the figure and that. B. Yeah. D. The thing is, yeah, I actually put yes for that. Okay. So I got 3 fully correct. Okay, we're looking at 19. Okay, all these were like that, okay. Okay, so I got a partial there. And then I actually got 2 on that. I got another. See, I keep getting partials, bro. I keep getting partials, which I really think is going to boost my score. Oh, so I got 22 fully right. That's the one that got me the most shook, I can't lie. Oh, 23 all the way to 27. this one I got wrong. The short dog. The number of dogs with short fur without spots, 54, is 3 times the number of dogs with short and spotted fur. I actually agreed on that one. I actually got that. I literally did 18 times 3. What? I'm going through them all. Click the change. Okay, review screen, decision making, 30. Yeah, I was kind of lost in this one because the oval represents brown mud puppies. Oh yeah, I forgot. There should have been a ooh, because all brown, yeah. So I should have just immediately got that. Because if it's an all one has to be encapsulated in the other than 33. What? Oh yeah, because it doesn't increase. That's a wonky line though. No, because if it's 7, it'll be 3.5. Wait, no. If it stops at 7, the middle will be 3.5. It's like 50. You know what? That wasn't that bad, actually. That wasn't that bad.